All right, we're going to try to put this into words. You've got a generational conspiracy that's been going on out of Albany, New York, since the early days of the Netherlands, when the patroons and the president generals were running Albany for the Dutch royal family. As the New Netherlands and New France and then New England and colonial America, the new American government came of age, the same families that were in lumbering and mining and running government operations and funding government operations seem to have continued to control New York government functions right up to the Buffalo Billions. You've got the Buffalo Billions gang that have used vast amounts of state revenue to pay off their political rank and file. Much like the educational funding and the environmental funds of Department of Environmental Conservation, the state highway and transportation funds, and I'm pointing directly at the Pelham royal family, and the Dunbartons of Barton Mining, the Dumbarton royal family, and this gang called Cashman Dredging out of Dublin, Ireland. Cashman and a lot of the other families like the Hawkschilds, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and particularly the Delanos. These massively wealthy families, the Roosevelts, have been operating New York out of their back pocket in the exact same fashion as this Mafia gang that recently were convicted associated with the Buffalo Billions. And Sheldon Silver and this Skilos fella and all the other perpetrators that were covered up when the more and more and more and more land, the More Land Commission was disbanded. Mysteriously, very mysteriously, the More Land Commission was disbanded by Governor Cuomo. Today in New York, you've got a massive scandal unfolding associated with the open sewers of New York. Lake George, the Hudson River, Lake Champlain, the Finger Lakes, the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence Seaway. All of these areas for decades, many decades, over centuries actually, have been used as septic tanks. Thus, you've got this astonishing algae bloom, the algae bloom saga of New York, which is going on right now with witnesses like RPI University, who gets a lot of money from the state and from the federal government and all kinds of tax relief and tax subsidies. And then you've got the Darren Freshwater Institute, which basically is RPI. You've got the Waterkeeper, who's apparently some kind of United Nations NGO. They're a non-governmental organization, the International Waterkeepers, Chris Nowinski. And, well, you got the Chinese. The Chinese being General Electric and the Chinese being IBM Corporation. They're up there in New York at the receiving end of huge amounts of money. They're making huge amounts of money off this smartest lake in the world.